So we're going to do this as a Q&A format. You got anything you want to say to the people before we get started?
Happy to be here. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have a second mic, Cooper? It's okay if you don't. All right, so let's open it up. Who's got a question about music, about bass playing, about NAMM, about life, about love, about anything? Right over here. Yes, sir.
So, if you could say one thing to somebody that was starting out in music, what would you tell them?
So the question is, if I could say one thing to someone who's starting out in music, what would I say? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. That's my most honest answer. I would have to see what showed up at the moment. Because what I would tell you may not work for her. What I would tell her may not work for him. So to prepare something like that, that's going to work for everyone, may not be the smartest thing. My whole goal, it's almost like, say, if I could take one bass solo, what would it be? Depends on the situation, you know. I don't want to prepare something like that. I would rather try to get myself to be open enough so that the right thing shows up to say, the right thing shows up to play at that moment. So that's what practice is all about. That's what preparation is all about. Not so that you can so much prepare for what's going to happen, because you don't know all the time what's going to happen. It is so that it's because I don't have to know what's going to happen, and I'm still ready for it. To me, that's what the preparation is about. So a lot of times when you prepare, you don't know what or who you're preparing for. Your job is just to prepare, right? And then try to be open enough. Now, if I had more time, more than one word, and I had a time to learn more, a little bit about you or something like that, then it would be different. But that's what comes to my mind right now. I'm just glad that I don't have to just say one word. I'm not one for putting myself in hypothetical situations that I'll never be in. You know, if I had to say one word, I don't think that'll ever happen, so I don't prepare for that, you know. I want to be as open as possible, just like a great improviser, so that all my preparation shows up at this one moment, you know. That's why we prepare, in my opinion.
At the moment, what keeps music fun for you?
At the moment, what keeps music fun for me? There's a lot of things, but the biggest one that comes to mind is you all. Right? I can't really think of any other job where I get to do what I love to do, and everyone that comes up to me tells me how much they enjoy it. If they don't enjoy it, they don't come up to me. I mean, think about it, right? It's not like sports where half the crowd is against you. It's not like the hospital or a doctor where no one wants to be there in the first place. You only come because you like me. And because you want to hear everything I have to say. That's why you show up. That's amazing. How can that not be fun? How can that not be inspiring? Right? But here's how it cannot be fun and how it cannot be inspiring. If you're so uptight about what you're doing, right? And you're so afraid of messing up in front of people, that could be uptight, right? But what I've found through my many years of playing is that people don't care if I mess up. And believe it or not, you prefer that I do. Right? If you're honest with yourself and think about it, if I play a perfect routine, I'll get applause. But if I play a routine that has mistakes in it and you see the struggle, you see the sweat, but I persevere anyway, I get a standing ovation. And you love me even more. Because nobody here thinks they're perfect. So perfect we don't relate to. So if you are trying to play a perfect routine, you're trying for something people can't relate to. People relate to struggle. They relate to that struggle and you persevere. You've heard people say, bravo, bravo, right? That word is a derivative of the word bravado. So when you're brave enough to go for it anyway, bravo. Perfect is not what I'm after. Courage, like the cowardly lion.
And you inspire so many students and so many minds like my son. What keeps you motivated going into music?
What keeps me motivated in going in the music industry? It's really related to the same question I got before, but it's people. Right? Now, I would play whether you showed up or not. I love music that much. I love to play music that much. I would show up anyway and play. But if you didn't show up, I'm repeating myself, if you didn't show up, I'd still play. But the fact that you do, the fact that you would pay hard-earned money to come see me do what I love, I can't think of many things better than that. I can't think of anything better than that as a profession. Right? So that's what keeps me motivated. Now, it's easy to fall out of that. It's probably easier to fall out of that mindset than to keep it. It takes effort, it takes attention to stay with that mindset. It's easier to just believe everything you say. Even when I know I played a horrible show, you're going to tell me how great it was. It's easy to believe in that. And then why practice if I'm going to play? If you're going to tell me I'm great, whether I practice or not, why practice? That's the easy way out. So in a sense, I have to become motivational to myself. I have to be honest with myself and say, hey, they loved it, but you know you need work. Right? So in a sense, I end up having to get to the place where I can inspire myself. Right? And to inspire myself, I have to be, the best way is to be honest with myself, regardless of what you say. So that even if I played a horrible show, you tell me that you don't like it. Or no, you tell me that you do like it, right? I respect your answer. You like it, that's what I want, but I know that I need to improve, right? But even if you tell me you don't like it, I respect that the same way. A good compliment and a bad compliment, in my opinion, are no different. Because it's you complimenting me, right? If you're going to spend energy talking about me, I got your attention on it, right? So I've done something. Right? It's when they're not talking about you at all. Right? But I respect everything that people say, and that's inspiring. People will take time to come see me do what I love. Right? That's amazing. So in a bigger sense, I'm indebted to you. Right? I'm a musician without you. I don't have a musical career without you. So you allow me to put my kids through college. I thank you for it. That's inspiring.
Hey, we got a couple of questions from Instagram. You want to take one from
Instagram question?
Instagram question.
Are we Instagram live?
Yeah, say hi to the people.
What's the question?
Do you have any goals or resolutions for 2019?
Do I have any goals or resolutions for 2019? Probably so. I don't look at them as like, I got to do this year. It's a new year, so I'm going to do it. So, but I do. There are some things, you know, like, in other words, I have a new season, my 20th year of running music and nature camps. It's the 20th year. So, thank you. So 20 years, to me, that's an accomplishment because it happened quickly. So I have a lot that I plan on doing for this year. I'm talking to, it's going to be the biggest, I don't know about the best, but the biggest camp season that we do this year. Already have a lot of amazing guest instructors. But really the main thing is just to keep growing, you know, keep getting better. I do want to, you know, take care of my health a little more. As I'm getting older, I'm 54 now, things I've noticed getting harder. You know, I went to the doctor the other day, they said I have a high blood pressure. It's like, I'm the chillest guy I know. And I'm like, how did that happen? You know, so that means I've got to exercise, drop some weight, eat less sugar, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to do that just because it's 2019. I need to do it because I need to do it, you know. So I don't know what a good answer for that is. The answer is yes and no.
First off, I'd just like to say it's an honor to be in your presence, and to be honest, I'm sure everybody everybody else, but my question was, in your opinion, what are some good qualities in a good musician?
What are, in my opinion, you say, what are some qualities that are in a good musician? A great musician. I'm going to pose that question to you. What are some qualities to you, in your opinion, of a great musician?
Practice, patience, and perseverance.
Practice, patience, and perseverance. Really, really good. I'm going to make it simpler and easier in my approach. What is a quality of a good friend? Don't think music, just a good friend.
They're there for you.
Keep going.
They're there for you. They understand you and they listen to you. Exactly. And they listen to you.
So now, this is what I want in a musician, right? Because a person who practices it but hasn't played out live sounds like they practice. Practicing doesn't make a good musician. No more than practicing English makes you somebody I want to listen to, right? So practice is a part of it, but it's a smaller part of it. Right? In other words, it can, but doesn't really take a whole lot of practice to be a good friend, to listen. Now you can become better at it through practice. But for me, when I'm looking for a musician, I am literally looking for a friend. If I look for the qualities in a friend, what'd you say? They know who you are. They understand you. They listen to you, but they also accept who you are. Good and bad, they're still there for you. You said they're there for you. Good or bad, right? So imagine if I want, okay, I have a young kid here. What's your instrument? He's a guitar, so I hire him to play guitars. And he's not as experienced, right? I could shoot him down and treat him rude, right? But that's not what a good friend will do. I want to be a good musical friend to hear. So even if we're on stage and he's not up to standard, I'm going to make sure you don't know that. You will not know he's a beginner, or we might call a rookie, or less experienced. I'm going to make sure you don't know. After the gig, we may have a talk and say, hey man, go work on this. But during the gig, it's my job to lift him up, to make you love him, right? Most of us practice, and I think it's safe to say most of us practice so that we get better, so that I can say, look at me and show you how good I sound. The people who work a lot know how to make someone else sound better, and that's what they practice. So when you look at the liner notes on the records and you start seeing the same names, like it used to be James Jamerson on bass, Chuck Rainey, and all these guys, Duck Dunn, Carol Kay. You'd see their names on all these records. But they're not taking bass solos. They're making Aretha Franklin sound good. They're making Otis Redding sound good. They're making, right? To me, that's the real skill. That's the real friend who's going to make you better. So that's a long answer to say, whatever qualities you're looking for in a good friend, look for those in a musician.
Before you picked up an instrument, is there a single performance or maybe a collection of performances that inspired you to pick up an instrument?
He's asking me, before I picked up an instrument, was there something that inspired me, a performance or whatever? And my situation, that's funny to me because my situation is so different. You know, I was literally born into a band. No joke. I'm the youngest of 5 brothers who needed a bass player. Literally. So when I was born, the bass was waiting. I do not remember not playing an instrument. The earliest I can remember playing an instrument was 2. But I wasn't really playing the instrument. I was holding an instrument while I was learning to play music. Okay? The same way, that question to me is saying, hey, before you learned English, was there anything that inspired you to talk? You know what? It's a funny question, but the question's funny to me because I started that young. I know most people didn't. So most people get inspired, they see a band, whatever. I want to play music now. What inspired me were my brothers. I'm the youngest of 5 boys, so I have 4 older brothers. And every little sibling, whether you want to admit it or not, we look up to our older siblings. Doesn't matter if we have an older sibling. Who are you looking at? Your mother, right? It's the truth. We look up to our older siblings. So if you have a little brother, be aware of what you're doing, saying, thinking, because your little brother or sister is looking up to you. Right? So I had 4 older brothers. When I was born, they were playing music. How was I not going to play? So that's the real answer to your question. The same way you learned English as your first language, inspired by those around you. Right? But were you really thinking about it so much? No, you just did it because everybody else was doing it. And the real key is that everyone else allowed you to do it with them when you were learning English. No one treated you as a beginner and a baby, told you to go practice. My brothers never did that to be musical. Now, I can share with you some very high-powered, inspirational, influential concerts, but I was already playing. I saw James Brown in 70 and 71, right? Which means I was in kindergarten and 1st grade, but I remember it. When I was 5, the 5 of us brothers were the opening band for Curtis Mayfield's Superfly tour. We were living in Sacramento and we toured up the West Coast as his opening band when I was 5. My older brother Reggie, who is around this part somewhere, he says I turned 6 on that tour. Inspirational. I remember opening for War, the band War with Lee Oscar and B.B. Dickinson and all these guys as a kid. I remember that. I was maybe 5 or 6. Inspirational because these are your heroes. You know, I grew up listening to James Brown, War, and The Temptations, and all of a sudden we're sharing the stage with your heroes. That's inspirational, right? But I was lucky enough to have been literally, and I mean it literally, born into a band. So I've never not played.
When you were younger and you have a surprise gig that you couldn't really prepare for and you had to improvise, do you stick to what you know or kind of just kind of let it flow and see what happens?
So again, the question is, if I was had a surprise gig, that you couldn't prepare for, how did you handle it? Did you stick to what you know, or what was the other part? Basically, how do you handle that? That's what preparation is for, right? That is exactly what preparation is for, right? Because you don't always know what's going to happen, even when you think you do. So yeah, you're relying on preparation, but it's also, you're relying on the moment. Okay? And here's what I mean by this. We're all good at it. Because even if we've never met, we can sit down and have a conversation. Right? We don't practice the conversation. I don't say, hey, Phoenix, man, when I see you today, say these things to me because I've been working on this words, you know, or whatever. You just start talking. And it's because of all the talking you've done that allows it to work. Right? We talk with an instrument, but we put zero attention on it, right? I want to be musically the same way. I want zero attention on that bass guitar. When I play, I don't want you listening to the bass, right? The bass, his guitar sounds exactly like this. That's what it really sounds like. Nothing. It only sounds beautiful when he plays it. The beauty comes from him. Not the guitar, right? So why would I listen to the guitar when it really sounds like nothing? I want to listen to him, right? It's him expressing through the guitar the same way we express through our mouth, right? But you don't say, I speak mouth. Who cares about the instrument? It's music we're playing, right? So I don't want you listening to the instrument. So it's all that preparation. And one of the biggest things I prepare for is to take my attention off that instrument. The same way we quickly learn to take the attention off of our mouth. Right? So it's all the preparation. But let me get back to the moment. The moment. Now we have to have good ears. Right? There are things that you can prepare for to make the unprepared for situations easier. Having good ears, okay? And not only good ears, but fast ears. Ears that respond quickly. And again, you already have them. Because else we couldn't talk to each other. If you couldn't assimilate what I said and get your response ready, you don't even think about it. That's how good you are. I want to get good like that in music, right? Learn to read. You learn to read. If you can read and someone has charge, you're prepared. You're prepared if you can read the charts. All right, that helps you prepare for a situation you're not ready for. A surprise situation, you said. If you can read, if you can improvise, okay? You can improvise. Doesn't mean you got to take a good solo. But if I'm reading the chart and I get lost, I'm in improv world right now. Right? So practice improving. Practicing improving does not mean practice soloing. It doesn't mean that. For bass players, I would wait many years before you practice soloing. Practice improvising bass lines. So in other words, if he plays some chords, you come up with a bass line. That's what the heroes did. That's what Carol Kay was good at. That's what Jamerson was good at. Chuck Rainey, Nate Watts, who plays with Stevie Wonder. They come up with bass lines. Who practices that? The few that do are working. Right? The rest of us are posting licks online. Right? The people working don't have time to post it. Right? So learn how to come up with bass lines. That's a great way to practice improv. Right? So anyway, those are some things. I could talk all day on that one. I like that question. How to prepare for the thing you're not prepared for. Yes, ma'am.
A good question going off of this. How do you work with a musician at a gig when they're completely bombing or a drummer who's just not there?
How do you work with a musician who's completely bombing or completely not there? Let me go back and say you have a sibling or even more kids who you feel are completely bombing and not there, right? Most of us as musicians will tune out and try to move away. But if it's your sibling, your child, you are going to tune in and move closer, right? No way you're going to tune out. If you're on stage with me, you're my sibling. And if you're bombing, I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure they don't know it. I'm going to do everything I can do to lift you up. Give you an example. I'm playing with Chick Corea Electric Band. For some reason, John Patitucci wasn't there and he calls me. I can't play like John Patitucci. My first thought was, man, this music, John plays a 6-string. Maybe I should play my 6-string bass. I'd be so uncomfortable playing a 6-string bass. So I played my 4. Then at rehearsal, Chick calls this one song I was unprepared for. I'm really good when I can hear the changes. And one of my biggest ways of preparing for music for a gig is to listen to the songs over and over. The same way a kid would learn a Michael Jackson song within 3 times. I want to get there. I do that before looking at the chart or anything. I want it on the inside. We're practicing a song with Chick Corea, and it's a ballad that John Patitucci can kill on, and I was sucking royally at this rehearsal, right? I'm soloing. Actually, I'm going to switch to when it was happening on stage, because I wasn't much better on stage. I was a little better, I'll say that. I'm soloing on this song, and I look at Chick to say, I give him the nod, meaning my last chorus. And I'm looking at Chick. Chick looks back at me and says, he's like, no, you're not ending. Fix this, right? He could have let me out, but he starts feeding me information. And I'm hearing it, and I'm like, wow. This is empathetic now. This is a man that, he's not like, man, I should have gotten John. He's like, let me help you. And he fed me and carried me through that solo. And at the end, I got the applause. Right? Now that's a high-level musician. That's a parent. That's what you would do for your child. But in musician, we have these attitudes where if you're not good enough, I don't want to play with you. Right? If you're not good enough, I do want to play with you because I have to be better to make sure they don't know you're not good enough. If I'm the Victor Wooten you think I am, shouldn't I be able to play with anybody? Or only Dennis Chambers? Only Chicken, I want to play with anybody. But to be able to play with that person and make sure you don't know it, make sure it sounds good anyway, I have to be better. So I treat it as a challenge to myself. That's how I am. Who is that man?
I'm a guitar player. That's my daughter. She plays bass. I play guitar. The thing that you were saying earlier about, like if you're good enough, if you're not good enough, if you make mistakes, when regular people, and that means all of us, we hear our idols and they make mistakes, it's kind of like, that's cool, man. They're human. But when you don't make mistakes, you're like, man, these guys are like godly. They don't miss a note. They're like robots. So when you make a mistake, it's kind of like, okay, that's cool.
Can anybody name a musician who doesn't make mistakes? Who? Jeff Beck. Ask Jeff.
Axl Rose.
Are you saying? What are you saying? Jeff Beck totally makes mistakes. See, the thing is, here's the thing. Being human means making mistakes. There is no way to not make mistakes. Jeff Beck is just so good at turning that mistake into something positive that you like it anyway. Right? So here's the thing. For most people, a mistake means playing the wrong note. But if you play the wrong note with the right rhythm, the right tone, the right dynamics, the right feel, it will not sound wrong. Right? So I've heard Jeff Beck do what he would call a mistake. I wouldn't call it a mistake because I still liked it. Right? But does it always come out the way he wants? I guarantee no. Does he really care? I can guarantee no. Because in the big picture, the mistake is so little. Right? We amplify the mistake, not the audience. The audience doesn't hear it. And even if they did, it's gone now. For us, we're still living. 2 weeks later, we're still thinking about it. Right? Jeff Beck, I don't know him well, but I'm pretty sure he's beyond all of that. And because he's beyond that mistake he just made, you don't even hear it. Right? But there's so many things going on when we play music. Rhythm, tone, phrasing, all this kind of stuff. That missing a note is such a small detail. So anyway, to answer that question, there aren't any musicians who don't make mistakes. We all do. You will for the rest of your life. The key is not trying to make mistakes, but how to deal with them once we make them. Musicians do not practice that. Right? We make a mistake, we stop. No, go through it. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, make a mistake and stop and figure it out. But once you know the song, practice recovering from your mistake. Right? Think about this. In sports, a basketball team. Right? Imagine a basketball team that played as if every shot was going to go in. Imagine that. They would lose every game. But because the basketball team knows they're going to make mistakes, they prepare for them. They practice them. They call it rebounding. Right? And they even have people that's what they specialize in, covering mistakes. They practice it. At practice, they'll miss shots on purpose just so they can practice recovery. Right? Musicians are some of the only groups of people that I know who never do that. Right? Football players, they practice recovering fumbles. Right? In stocks or money, they know what they're going to do if they don't reach their quota this season, this month, or whatever. But musicians, we don't practice recovery. Right? One other thing about mistakes. and then we'll probably have to stop soon. But one other thing about mistakes, this is my approach to it. How long have you been playing? 4 years? How much do you think you know about music? Not that much? Okay, I've been playing 52 years. I still don't think I know that much about music. Right? So, why would I ever not want to make a mistake? Meaning, I only want to do what I know when I already know I don't know much. Why do I only want to do what I know when my brain's the size of a grapefruit and I don't know much about music? Think about that. Maybe there's a part of us, maybe music herself knows more about music than me. So maybe my mistake is something pushing me in a different direction, getting me outside of myself because I don't know much. Right? So when you can take your mistake the same way, if you only know one way home from work and that road is closed, you got to take another avenue. And in taking that other avenue, you're going to learn a whole lot. So if I can take my mistake and go with it, turn it into something else, I will improve a lot more and a lot faster than if I had gotten it perfect. Mistakes is where the growth is, right? Mistakes is where, and that's why a baby falls over and over before they learn to walk. And now it's hard to fall, right? It doesn't mean you don't lose your balance, but it's hard to fall. It's because you've fallen so much. So never be afraid of mistakes. I embrace them. I love them because now I get to surprise myself. Right? Oh, I didn't know that was coming out. That's a joy, you know. So anyway, you'll never stop making mistakes. So just learn how to deal with them. Maybe one more question. Oh, I make a living out of making mistakes. Okay. They say they want me to play something. I'll do that. A quick question for you. Music's a huge thing, right? Everybody, give me one word to describe music. What is music to you?
Relaxing.
Beauty. What is it?
Relaxing.
Relaxing. What's music? Passion, love, life, heart. I see it. Love.
Everything.
Creativity, light, life. Here's the thing. Notice that you don't say music is theory, scales, techniques. Nobody even mentioned an instrument, right? If that's what music is, that's what you should be playing, not the guitar. Nobody even mentioned guitar, did they? Because we know that those are tools. That's not what we're trying to play. The tools are a vehicle, right? So if you can remember what music is to you, that's what your audience will hear. And then the mistakes become a part of that. Right? When you walk, you trip, you don't back up, retake those steps. The trip might even get you there faster. Right? So embrace your mistakes.
Thanks so much.